the final thing that I'm going to talk about is the break and continue keyword. So break will break you out of loops, and it will break you out of all of the loops. Continue will go ahead and skip that iteration of a loop. You can use them in for, do, while, but you typically will have them inside of an if statement. So let's go ahead and say for int I is equal to 0, I is less than 10, I plus plus, and let's just go ahead and console.writeLine I. So this is just like we had before. When we run this, we get 0 to 9 printed out to the screen. Only we can say if, let's say I is equal to, I need to put parentheses there, I is equal to 5, for instance, break. So now, instead of getting 0 to 9 printed out to the screen, we will get 0 to 4 printed out to the screen. And notice that it terminates execution at that point. There's nothing else in the code. So break will break out of that loop and continue running everything else. Console.writeLine outside of loop. So now we will get 0 to 4 printed out to the screen, and then outside of loop, because this is outside of our for loop. The continue keyword will tell it to skip that iteration of the loop. So now we will get 0 through 4, it will skip 5, and then it will print out 6, 7, 8, 9. And then it will print out outside of loop. Notice we get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, no 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then outside of loop is printed out to the screen. So the break is also useful to use nested for loops. So let's go ahead and change this slightly. So let's go ahead and print out kind of like a poorly formatted multiplication table. Int I is equal to 1, I is less than 11, I plus plus, and then for int j is equal to 1, j is less than 11, it's not 100, j plus plus. And so now on each one of these we want to console.write, and we want to print out I times j, and then we want to put out a space. And we want to do that for each one of the j's, so this will go across. This will be basically 1 times 1, 1 times 2, 1 times 3, so on and so forth. And then the next one, we want to have a new line, console.writeLine. So that's just going to write a line out, a new line. And so this will be a roughly formatted multiplication table. Notice that we have 7, 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, so on and so forth. Now we can say, we can add a break in here if, let's say, j is equal to 5, break. And so now if j is 5, we're going to break out. Notice that we will get a multiplication table that is going from 1 to 4, and then this will be 2 times 1, 2 times 2, so on and so forth. But it is breaking out of this loop here. It is not breaking out of both loops there. So break will only break you out of the highest loop that you're actually in. Likewise, we can also do a continue, and that will just skip that particular iteration of it. Notice that we still get the multiplication table, we're just missing the 5s in there. That would be in each of these sections here. So that break and continue will allow you to modify the execution. You can do it for, let's just say, console.writeLine I, and let's just say you want to print out every even number. If I mod 2 is equal to 1, for instance, continue. So now this will print out every even number from 1 to 10. So we'll get 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. If we want every odd number, set that to 0. And now we will get 1 through 9 printed out to the screen. And so you can play around with this, but continue basically skips a iteration of that loop. Break just breaks you completely out of that particular loop.